Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Story Time. I am telling my favorite stories from my book, Tales from Sales, outrageous, hilarious, and true stories from home sales. Yes, these are all stories that happened to me. Wrote a book about it. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or any local bookseller. You can also get it in ebook, but I'm taking a few of my favorite stories and reading them because so many people have asked me to read them in a video format or audio format because they are ridiculous. So, realtor friends, our first story today is chickens and goats and kittens. Oh my. So recently, I took a nice lady to see some property in a neighboring town with a population of about 1,200. We're in Texas, by the way. It's a small town, cute little area, and very rural. It was 107 degrees that day, and it had been over 100 degrees for the last 60 days. Showing homes was definitely not a fun event this particular summer. I told my customer Janice, because all names have been changed to protect the guilty, to meet me at the home, and the listing realtor would meet us there to open it. Right. When we arrived, it's only me and my client Janice, no listing realtor, imagine. I call the listing realtor and he says, "Oh, I can't go, but the owner is going to open the door and give you a tour." A tour? I asked. "It's a mobile home on 2 acres. I'm sure we can figure it out." "Yes," the listing realtor continued. "Oh, and by the way, don't look at what the lady has done to the house. Just think about what it could be." He said, and then he hung up abruptly. That means usually the place is in deplorable condition, and if your client wants to spend a boatload of money, they can make it look habitable. It's like those listings with the roof caving in, water pooling in the middle of the floor from a slab leak, the post-mortem remains of a squatter who took his final nap in the bedroom, and the listing realtor proudly announces that it's, as is, a fixer-upper, handyman special. There's not enough fixin' in the world that can do what renting a bulldozer can. But this house doesn't look too bad on the outside. And if you look beyond the 12 terrifying scarecrows that are scattered around the yard, that aren't guarding any sort of crop or vegetation, they just look like scary dead guys hanging from a stick. The weird gothic fountains with no water and piles of trash everywhere, you could see a little promise of a humble abode. I step out of the car, and at the same time Janice steps out as well. This is my first time to meet her in person, so we exchange pleasantries. I've learned a long time ago that one person's nightmare home could be another person's dream home, so I say nothing of the Tim Burton moviescape that is the front yard, and we make our way to the front porch. Just as we reach the rickety wood front porch with 3 barbecue pits on it, the door opens and out staggers a portly woman in her 60s or 70s wearing a tube-top dress that the sun was shining straight through, allowing us a view of what God has so bountifully blessed her with. And I avert my eyes and look at her face in order to try to make eye contact and initiate a hello and a handshake. I try not to act shocked when the lady in the tube dress has a full mustache and patchy scruff for a beard, and I silently curse hormones in my head and promise to put money aside for laser removal surgery later. "So, hello, your realtor says you're going to help us out today. I'm Myka, it's nice to meet you." And just remember, folks, I'm also going to be talking in the same accents and the way that the people talk, just so that you can really feel like you were there. "It's hotter than Hades out here. Y'all come on in. It's not very clean, but you can do whatever you want to when you buy it. My cat just run away and I'm pretty sad. I hope she don't run off with no pack of wildcats and never come back." She started to get a little misty-eyed and her voice broke. "I'm sorry," I said. I'm trying to break the silence and also keep her from starting to cry. "Maybe she went under the house. She'll come back. I bet nobody loves her, feeds her like you." "Why'd she run off then, you think?" she asked in a desperate tone with pleading eyes. "Oh, who knows? She'll be back. Do you want to show us around, or can we wander around ourselves?" I asked. At this point, I was trying to figure out what the musty smell was. It was irritatingly sweet and sour at the same time. I was stifling a gag, which, yeah, Janice, my client, said absolutely nothing and was staring at a wall in front of her. Pack of wild dogs ate up my air conditioner. That's why it's so hot. Y'all can look around if you like. I ain't got nothing to hide, she said as she searched out the window for her prodigal kitty. Janice was attached to my hip, and we moved around like a two-headed monster, trying not to touch anything. I started in the kitchen and looked up above the cabinet and saw another scary sight that made me just want to go back out to the car and burn rubber on the way out of there. It was a 2-foot statue of the Grim Reaper with several other little baby Reapers around it. I was so uncomfortable that I made a comment about it. Oh, look at that. That's different for kitchen decor. Oh gosh, why did I say that? That's a great idea. Make her mad and she'll pull some weird voodoo scarecrow curse on me. Ah, that's my little friend, she said, not even really paying attention to us. There's just enough room on the floor for us, me and Janice, to go room to room in a conga line. The master bedroom had carpet, and there were urine stains all over the floor and an ammonia smell. I was trying not to hurt this lady's feelings by going in and out quickly, but I was having a hard time keeping the contents of my stomach actually in my stomach. So next, we meandered to the guest room, and the first one had a bunch of furniture stacked up on top of each other to the ceiling and about 18 to 20 vacuum cleaners. Again, I should have kept my mouth shut, but I was just nervously talking at this point, and I said, "Oh, wow. Look at all these vacuum cleaners. Why do you have so many?" She sighed and said, "Well, you see them chickens out there in the chicken coop? Before I had money for the chicken coop, they used to stay in this room, and I'd just vacuum up their mess every day. I don't know how to fix a vacuum, so I just bought a new one every time one clogged up." Well, that's a first, raising chickens inside the house. I've never seen that one until now, and I just acted like that was normal, and we continued the tour. We finally finished inside, and she started to show us the boundaries of the property. I was just thanking God we were outside. She had a few goats behind the fence, and one of them came running up to the fence, bleating with excitement upon seeing the owner of the home. "Hey, Mama's here, baby," she said to her little baby goat. "You see that there goat? I raised her from a little baby with a bottle right there in my living room. She lived with me for a year till she was strong enough to go outside on her own. That's my baby." Oh, for God's sake, goats and chickens inside the house. They didn't even do that on Little House on the Prairie. I keep looking at Janice for any sort of emotion, and she's been silent the whole time. I bet she's mortified. I am. We finish the tour as the owner loses interest in us and wanders off calling her lost kitty cat. Janice and I walk over to our cars and I say, "Wow," with a shocked look on my face, kind of like that. "I know," Janice says. "So, should we make an offer today or make them wait a little?" Uh-huh. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. "I really like it. Maybe we can get a good deal. Let's start low and see what happens." I'm still in shock, waiting for her to bust out laughing and say, "Gotcha!" No such luck. "Okay," I say slowly. "We'll definitely want to get an inspector out here to make sure it's a good investment." Yeah, good idea," she said. "You call the inspector and we'll go write up the contract," she said so excitedly. As I stared unbelievingly at a gothic scarecrow swaying in the breeze, I realized it's not my opinion that counts. Everyone has their own dream home. Even if livestock was raised inside of it, even if the Grim Reaper watches over you while you do your dishes, and even if every kid in town is scared to death by your front yard, to each their own. Long live the American dream. The end. See you next time. Tales from Sales.